In this video, we will talk about whether owning a rental property is worth it. Hi, my name is Shyam Ganesh and I'm with Grow Your Wealth Financial Planning. A lot of clients and investors will ask me, is it worthwhile to own a rental property? Well, with owning a piece of real estate comes a lot of risks. Some of those risks involve damages that could happen, repairs that are needed, renovations that are needed that are unexpected, as well as the fact that you have a significant down payment in the property, and for whatever money you do not have in the property yourself, you have a mortgage. So there's a lot of leverage in the property that increases risk. And if you don't have a tenant, or if you have a lot of expenses, you still have to make the mortgage payment, you still have to make the property taxes payment, so you do not have that flexibility. And so you need to make sure that you have a backup source of cash flow for that eventuality that the rent that it's generating does not help you pay off all of the obligations. So there's a lot of risk. It's a very concentrated portfolio. You could put tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into a single property. And depending on what percentage of your overall savings and investments that is, we call that concentration risk. So the idea of, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, there's always risk in putting, in having fewer baskets. Now, let's talk about the flip side. So what are the advantages? Because I don't necessarily agree with that statement that I just said, which is don't put all your eggs in one basket. I would agree with it if you are doing something where you do not have control. What's different about a rental property is that you do have some element of control. Obviously, there are a lot of factors that you cannot control, like what's happening in the market itself, what's happening with interest rates. So what I mean by control is you can make a very educated decision. And so the less educated and prepared you are, the more risky this concentration in one basket becomes. And so the nice thing is you do have control. Now, the question is whether you will take advantage of that control or not. And so what I mean by this is that you need to do your due diligence before you purchase a property. You really have to know what's going on in the market in terms of the value of the property, what's been the trend the last few years, what's driving up that trend, what are the economic factors in that city or town, because a large city is very different from a small town. A very well-diversified economy in that city is very different than a one economy mining town, for example, right? There's a lot of difference in the way that the market values are going to perform. If, for example, in that small town, the mine shuts because of new laws or because it's at the end of its life. And so you have to know what's going on in the economy, what's driving the market prices. And then you have to know who the tenants are. What's the quality of the tenant? Who are these people? How do they earn their living? How steady is that? Again, tying back to the economy. And then last but not least, based on the market values of the rent that it's generating and what your costs are going to be for that property, what's your cash flow going to look like? So you have to know, you have to have run those numbers, gotten credible, real-time information on what it costs in terms of utilities, in terms of property taxes, in terms of insurance, what kind of renovations you might need. So you have to know those numbers before you purchase a property, and it has to have a positive cash flow for you after all of those expenses and after any taxes that you are likely to be required to pay. And so if you do your due diligence, you do your homework, the numbers tell you that it's a good investment, then that's great. And you have to know what your worst case scenario is. So if something goes wrong, how much money would you, how many months worth of rent could you go without if a tenant decided to move out early, or between switchover of tenants, it takes a month or two, or you need some renovations done in the place. How many months can you sustain the mortgage payments without having a tenant? And does having the tenant in there for the majority of the months actually cover your costs for those months when no one is in the property as well? So in the end, there's always a little bit of luck involved in terms of where the market price eventually goes. But the more research you've done, the more in the know you are, the less likely you are to be caught off guard. And that is going to make it potentially more worthwhile for you to have owned that property, because you've already anticipated what can go wrong. So to circle back and answer the question again of whether it's worth it to own a property, well, you tell me, is the work involved something you're willing to do? Because if you are not excited to do the research, to talk to the realtors, to talk to the market, to talk to tenants, right, or pay a property manager, there's going to be some level of work involved in managing the place on an ongoing basis. And you have to keep an eye on it. Even if you have a property manager, you have to keep an eye on what is happening, and your numbers themselves. No one's going to do that for you. So you tell me, is it worth it for you? That's the main question you need to answer. And if your answer is yes, but you're not sure how to run those numbers, that's something that we can help you with at Grow Your Wealth Financial Planning. So what we've done is at the bottom of this video, we have shared a link where you can get access to a template that will help you get organized. Whether you're analyzing a property you're about to buy, or you already own one or more properties, help you get organized and just understand what the numbers are. And you're also welcome to reach out, and we offer that as part of our analysis, as part of our financial planning services. So click the link below, check that out if that's something that you think will be useful. And if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button below. Please leave us a comment, ask a follow-up question. That's how we come up with ideas for what we want to make videos about, because we're just here to answer questions that people like yourself have. And we'll see you on the next video.